Hi, my name is Chet Cheddar, and I'll be your host for A Closer Look, where we'll explore the most current and relevant topics covered in Frontline Initiative, which is a magazine produced by the National Alliance for Direct Support Professionals in partnership with the University of Minnesota's Institute on Community Integration. If you're wondering what Frontline Initiative is all about, it's about the work that direct support professionals do on a day-to-day basis as they support people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I'll be talking to authors and taking a closer look at current practices, tools, and resources. So buckle up and let's hear what the authors have to say. Welcome, everybody. We're so happy to have you here joining us with a closer look. This episode today is going to be focused on our first issue of Frontline Initiative in 2024, which is on advocacy and voting. And Julie and I just loved having this issue be a part of our collection and hearing from DSPs and everybody about how to really get involved, to advocate for themselves, for the profession of being a direct support professional, as well as getting out there and voting. So I'm very blessed today to have two fantastic people with me. First is my co-editor, Dr. Julie Cramey.
Hey, Chet. So excited to be here.
Our special guest, Nicholas Smith, who if you listen to our prior podcast, you heard him talk about self-determination and all the possibilities. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back again.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Nick?
Yes, my name is Nicholas Smith. I am a DSP from Philadelphia. I work at a wonderful organization, SPIN, Special People in Northeast. I've been in the field for over 25 years, but a wonderful 17 years with SPIN. I'm a single father. I am a brother, a uncle, and everything above. I am, as I say myself, I'm just an ordinary guy. Trying to, make sure I just make a little light in the world. So.
Oh, you share a lot of light in the world.
Thank you.
You're also a dog owner. I've learned that.
Yeah, oh yes, yeah. I'm a dog owner like that. Of Astro, I call him Astro Boomin. And macho man,
little tiny guy,
little miniature chihuahua. That when I come home sometimes at night, I sit down and say, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know you was there. Come on, buddy, breathe, But just a regular guy. So I'm honored and glad that I can be here to spend some time with you guys.
All right. Thank you, Nick. You had a really amazing experience this past year when you had the opportunity to testify before a special committee of Congress. I believe it was the full committee of a special committee on aging on the long-term workforce and addressing the shortage of DSPs and ways to improve the profession. That had to be just an incredible experience. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I work with an organization, PAR, Pennsylvania Advocacy and Resource for Autism, and the president, Mark Davis, gave me a call one morning and said, "Hey, Nick, Senator Casey and some of his staffers want to have a talk with you. Would you have maybe about 10 to 15 minutes to do a Zoom?" I said, "Sure." Now, I didn't know there was really no topic or anything like that, So I showed up for the Zoom, and there was about several people in the room, and they all introduced themselves, very nice young people, DC, and they just started answering questions, and, it went into tell us your story. And I'm like, and I laughed. I said, "You want the beginning? You want the end? You want to know what I did for breakfast?" And then we laughed a little bit, and we just talked a general overview about life as a direct support professional, some of the things I've done, more, and then they cut the Zoom off. All right, we'll be back with, I'm like, okay, that went great, I guess, And about a couple of days later, I'd say about a week later, they wanted to do a second, with different staffers from different senators. So
they want to do a second interview.
Yeah, second interview.
Yeah.
So I said, sure. Showed up for the Zoom, and more questions came in, just, specifically tell me what's your experience like? How do you feel about DSPs and, pretty much some of the things that I talk about, talking points before. And then they said, okay, we'll be back with you, and the Zoom went off again. I said, okay, I guess that went good too. I don't know, those staffers are very, a lot of note taking,
Very
a lot
serious.
of looking, very serious, like, so I was like, I hope they like me. I hope I didn't say nothing wrong, And then I got a from Maria Barker. She's Casey's one of his main his executive staffers, who said, Nick, we would like to invite you to testify on for the Senate for Senator Casey's witness. And I said, wow. Be an honor, and quite didn't know what that meant,
Right,
but
yeah.
she explained a little bit though, we're going to prep. So I went into the whole, it was a preparation thing, we had to craft a story. They had questions that I have to answer that we wanted to get together, and the help with our corporate team and help, spend, we said, and we crafted,
Crafted
responses.
the message
Yeah,
that you
so-
wanted to send when you were answering the questions.
Yeah, so that was exciting. Like, it was a lot of handoff back and forth. Like, we had to do something concise and just something that we all were comfortable with. It was an exciting time. Like that, I've been to DC before trips, but this time Mr. Smith is going to Washington. For,
Right.
so they it's even from getting there. Do you want to take the train? Do you want to fly? Like, no, I'm gonna drive. You sure? I'm like, yeah. For me, that's my thing. I practice, So I drove to DC. Prior before that, we about a week or two of just preparing what I'm going to say and homing in on specifics. So coming to, as I'm finding out, they're time related. So there's time on that clock that you have to answer things precise and specific to the senator's question. And so practicing those type of things. So getting DC, I'm one of those guys. I'm a prepper, so I got to prep, make sure I'm on focus. So it was an experience. It was I want to say, like in the movies, the lights are bright. What people don't know, there's a huge camera on the floor with a bright light, and they just don't look at it like that. But I kid you not, but I didn't. That night before, I'm in the room and sitting in front of the mirror on the floor, like, focus, look in the eye, watching videos to say, make sure that I answer questions, make sure that I follow, so I'm like hyper focused.
No pressure at all.
No pressure at all,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was, I'm there. I got everything lined up, and then Senator Warren walked in the room, and kind of threw me for. I got a little starstruck.
You weren't expecting her?
No, I wasn't expecting her at all. I mean, they said she could come, but she's super busy, so she's probably not coming. They already had the agenda about who's going to show up, but any senator can show up. But she decided to say, "Hey, I'm coming today." So the camera wasn't on my face, but if you could have saw my face, I'm like, "Oh,
Here we go.
here we go." And just like on all the, all the shows that she came in and she got right down to business.
Absolutely.
Like that. And then, she about 8 minutes of the time. So I had to change some things, but I followed Casey's lead. Maria Barker, she's right there behind me with the eye contact, like we got it. So it was a wonderful experience like that. Got to meet some awesome people on both sides, like that. So Senator Casey's a very, very, very nice guy. He really, knew my story and myself. Sometimes you think these guys just get talking points and they, he was like, "No, Nick, you've been with Spin for how many years? And, your daughter." I'm like, wow. And we had a nice experience that I would never, in a million years, I would never think I would have the opportunity to, they put it in the national record. She's like, "This will be a national record forever." I'm like, that's a lot of pressure. But with the help of like Spin and just our team, I was able to get my words concise and precise. So
Absolutely. That's so great.
Yeah, and advocacy is such a key skill for direct support professionals. You do it day to day, but then getting an audience like that, it's a lot. But speaking from your experience in your testimony, one of the things you talked about is the low wages paid to DSPs and how that affects your life and how that affects the life of your family. Can you tell us a little bit about what you shared?
Yeah, so a lot of DSPs are, they're not making a livable wage. So what happens is that myself right now, you end up doing overtime. You have to just to maintain and keep up. Now with inflation, you have to do certain amount of shifts. Now I'm blessed and lucky to have the overtime at at our company, and you can you we have a system that you can call and get it. But I have a lot of DSP friends who have to work second or three jobs just because there is no overtime, so they have to pick up a second or third job, while maintaining. So that's great that you can do that though, but something has to give, right? Sleep. My life, I've missed many of family events. So the Thanksgivings, the Christmases, all those holidays where most people are home celebrating, I'm at work. Now, it's not for me, or for a lot of DSPs, it's not a sad day because we're having Thanksgiving with people that, someone that I want to support and I want to be there. So, I might not be having a Thanksgiving or a Christmas dinner or whatever with my family, but I'm having Thanksgiving, we're planning a whole Thanksgiving turkey dinner out with the person I'm supporting. And a lot of times houses get together. We make sure it's a whole family involved type of thing to make sure that everybody, we got people going home, like that. So it's
You're still making it a very genuine celebration together with who you're with.
Right. Like
right?
I tell my family, I say, hey, listen, don't forget, have my plate. I get it Friday or whatever. But they do, right? So you end up working these days, and as the DSP, just those days are like time and a half or double time like that. So there's been some times where I'm like, man, I really would like to be home this Christmas, or I would really like to have the Christmas breakfast. That you if you're not there, you're not there, right? Yeah, they can call me in on FaceTime. And I can kind of be there, but I'm not there though, right? Well, maybe there's a cousin or an aunt who came into town many a times, and I just won't be able to chance to miss them. They came in for a day, But that is the life of a DSP. We do a lot of hours. We do doubles. Sometimes you get stuck for triples, But I mean, it's a gift and a curse. You're blessed to have that money, but it comes of sacrificing a lot of hours though. Like a 40-hour work week for me, that feels weird. Like, oh my God, like 40 hours, like my check is gonna, 60 to 70, some, DSPs, they work those type of hours, just to maintain and make it through, So I just, sometimes I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'm getting older, Nick, I might want to, work a little less. I try to maintain a Sunday. My off days are Sunday and Monday. So at least on a Monday, I take off because I need to sleep, right? I can't get past that. But sometimes on Sundays, I pick up a shift. Or, there's been many times when my daughter was young. She said, Dad, you going to be off Sunday and Monday? I go, no, I will be off. I'll be off like Monday for you, and it became a part of life, So, Nick's at work. So pretty much they know. And that's for a lot of DSPs across the world. We're at work. And we're happy and we want to be.
So why is it important for DSPs to understand who's making the decisions about their wages and the supports that are available to the people that they support?
I think DSPs you definitely need to know who's making the decisions though, So once again, I think, you hear that saying, if you're not at the table, I just read it, you become the food, right? I think that, your organization, the place that you work, it's important that, when those decisions are being made for us, that we have some say, some opinion, So I think that, that may not be the case for DSPs across the nation, depends on where they're working at like that, but it's definitely a case that where I work is spent. So we have a nice, we have a great corporate team, we have a great management team, so that our words matter. What we think. We do focus groups. We do we do surveys just to see where we have a listening circle where the CEO comes and actually the way she does it is phenomenal because it's not just a time you be there. It's 1:00 in the morning for DSPs that work at night. It's the weekends for DSPs who just work the booking shifts. It's the middle of the day. It's the middle of the night. Just so she can hear what matters to you. What are some things, and this is an open forum, so you can bring up from time clock issues to things that are going on. But it's not so much of event session or like that. It's a listening session. Like, what's going on with you? How are you doing? What's new? What's not new? What's working? What's not working? I think to have those type of talks gives you a sense, that you're being heard, having your voice out there and just making sure that you're being heard. And, like when I'm talking to fellow DSPs that may sometimes not have the voice, I might say things like, hey, listen, it's okay to, if, how do I speak up, Nick? And it's small steps, maybe talking to your manager and then following through and making sure, hey, can we maybe talk about this issue or bring this up again, or could we maybe get a committee up, or could we maybe, for something that I think, and then advocacy on the other side for the people that we support. This is what we do every day. If you have somebody who wants to achieve a certain job, and what's that look like, or Nick, I'm not happy with this job. Have you said anything to your job? No, I haven't said anything. So let's advocate for you. Let's get in there and say, hey, listen, this is what is it the hours? Is it the time, the shifts? To get you. I think advocacy in the DSP field is a bulk of what we do. Whether it's for yourself, whether it's for the person you support. But we have to get out there and use our voice to advocate for everybody.
Do you think DSPs really understand where their wages come from and why sometimes, as a direct support professional or a provider, we're not able to just raise the prices of providing services at a Caribou or a Starbucks? They can raise the price of a cup of coffee
Right.
and then pay their staff members more. Talk a little bit about
Right.
that.
Yeah, I believe knowledge is power, right? So you have to follow through and if you're going to be a DSP, I take pride in education and making sure that myself, you want to do some research and find out, what waivers are, where this funding's come, why we're not, a provider just can't pay $35 an hour because we're a nonprofit, and gas and all the different things that go into and paying staff and overtime. It's a big chunk of the budget. I think sometimes with DSPs, whether you're new or a lot of times DSPs maybe don't do the research. Or, our Nick, they just don't pay us that well, or I don't know why. But there's a reason why. So I think myself and other DSPs that I work with, we talk about these things hey, listen, this is why. And I think with management and being transparent, this is why we look forward to the budget being passed, and just making sure these monies come in that we can eventually get to a livable wage. And it's going to come, it's going to come like that. With the help of getting on the SOC, and just different things
The
coming
standard
up.
occupational classification.
Yep. So with those things, there's Joe would say there's stuff brewing, right? 2028, I believe it comes up. So, will that be a game changer? I think so. That would be federal, recognition that we're not invisible. We are DSPs, direct support professionals, and we deserve to be on that list because we do so much.
You were speaking of Joe. He mentioned the name Joe before, and he's speaking of Joe Macbeth, who's the president and CEO of the NADSP, which is the National Alliance of Direct Support Professionals. Do you think, you were talking about it's really important to become knowledgeable about what a waiver is or what the different funding is. I think as a new DSP, you're just so trying to learn your job. You have no idea. And then you talked about you have no idea where the funding comes from or why it is that you're getting paid a certain wage.
Right.
But you also then talked about transparency. And that's referring to the organization can be transparent in sharing information about the funding and how they get paid and what are those different buckets that money goes into. And so being able to share that information and then providing it so that DSPs have the knowledge base to go forward.
Exactly.
And talk then with their legislators, with their elected officials about, okay, this is how we get paid, and this is how it affects me and my family. And it means I have to work 2 or 3 jobs, or I'm working double shifts or overtime, right?
Right.
That's the part that can be really difficult for a newer DSP, or even some who've been around for a while, to understand.
Yeah.
So why do you think, what holds DSPs back from like going and talking with their elected officials?
You know, I think sometimes it could be, I've heard it before. Nick, nobody's paying attention. They don't listen to me, or, I'm not you, and I said, you are me, if not more. Your words matter. And so let's start by simply the email blasts we get. That, we all get work emails, and you can shrug them off the important things. Hey, take that time out and fill out that survey for the senator. Does it matter? Yeah, because that one story, your story, could be a difference that could resonate with somebody. Maybe my story does. So if more people will do that across the nation, I think that would have significant value. Like you said again, being transparent, organization, provider agencies, being transparent, and just say, hey, listen, this is where the funding goes. This is and we know. We have a union. At the same time, they work hand in hand, and they work together to with management to make sure that we compromise in ways. And Spin has been really good to us. They make we've gotten some significant raises over the years. Is it enough? No. We still trying to get to that point. Like right now,
where you can have a livable wage,
Yeah,
right? So you're not working 2 or 3 jobs.
2 or 3 jobs, and we're competing now. After the pandemic, we're competing with Best Buy, the Lowe's, the Home Depots, where they're paying $23. Walmart at night, the stock $20. Is that if that's for you, that's for you, right? But I said, being a DSP, the heart that working with people, a lot of these, this is what they want to do. Unfortunately, it may not be the highest paying. Right, and you have to do a lot of overtime to get to that wage. Over the years, myself, it can get hard. It can wear down. Missing out on events and different things. But you come to deal with that. I guess what holds DSPs back.
Well, even if I could dig a little bit deeper on that.
Yeah.
Not only the missing out on family events and that sort of thing, but your own health. And how working multiple shifts and not getting rest, and possibly also because of the wages not being as high as they should be, maybe not getting the quality food or health care that you need. I'm assuming that you're working with some other DSPs who are maybe struggling with those issues.
Yeah, it's a fine balance, though. I might have a system. We all have different systems, but that new DSP who's like, man, how do you I'm working all these hours, but I'm so for me, supplementation for me is very important, making sure that I keep up on vitamins and water and doctor appointments because, I'm not Superman, so I think, it's a balance between communicating, talking with, we have amongst a lot of coworkers, we have a talk group. Hey, listen, I'm going through certain things that what do you think I should do? Hey, go see your doctor. Do you have a PCP? Yeah, you do. We have great assurance at Spin and PA. There's the systems that we have that if you did, but we do, and we just have to make sure we utilize these things. It's each one teach when you pass this knowledge down. If you're working a double, little small things, make sure that you have water for yourself. Make sure this stuff in the house. Just make sure that you're prepared. If you happen to get stuck when the time is coming, make sure in your trunk in your car that you have certain things that that you might need just in case. It's important. I know to take my own advice. Get some sleep. Rest is very important. It's kind of when you do a double, you want to do it. I get off. There's 1,000 things I want to do before it's time to go back to work.
What a contrast. You talked about, we just mentioned some customer service jobs that maybe compete for hiring DSPs, and so rarely is that the conversation in your orientation training after a month in to say, hey, are you taking care of yourself? Are you getting the rest that you need? Are you working the extra shifts and taking care of making sure that you make an appointment with your primary care provider, with getting your vitamins and drinking enough water to make sure you're doing well for yourself? It's a very big difference in the DSP workforce that you as a lead DSP talking through these conversations with other DSPs that you're working with who might be making the same wages as somebody who's working at Home Depot or some of these other customer service jobs.
It's really important that DSPs advocate for themselves because they've got the stories. Yes. And we cannot rely upon the provider organizations anymore to tell our stories. Right. And that's what's really important and that I'd really like to empower DSPs to do. And I know it can be really scary to think about, oh, I need to go talk to, my congressman or my congresswoman and have that discussion. But we have to remember that we vote. We vote people in to represent us. They work for us. Like when we vote, they win the election. They were hired by us to have that position. And so it's really important that we speak for ourselves, that we go tell our story and how it affects you personally, because those stories are the ones that they're going to remember. One of our other contributors is Tammy Delphin, and she's from here in Minneapolis. And she has really gotten to know her representatives and congressmen because she goes and delivers yard signs with them, awesome. Right? So while they're walking, they're talking, and she's talking about her role as a DSP. And she's been a career DSP for 30 or 40 years, Tammy, not to say how long you've been out there, but I think that's pretty close. Wow. You're very similar to me. They know her because of her story. And they've said to her, when I am, making decisions about what affects people and their wages, Tammy, I think about you and I think about what you've told me. So I just want DSPs to know that they really can make a difference in how people think, because people remember stories.
Yeah, right? Definitely. Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to, it doesn't have to be, like I say, something so grand as it's talking to you, your senator, your congressman. It's simply, that story of, talking to, a manager, a listening ear to say, hey, listen, I have this idea. Or it's not always an event session. It's always, maybe it's a great idea that or maybe it's something you thought of that you want to happen. How do we grow that? How do we foster that? How do we make sure that happens? And, but you have to follow through. I say, hey, listen, you bring an idea, but did you follow through? Are we going to talk about it next week? And when somebody's listening to speak up, to say, hey, listen, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm experiencing, and I've seen, I've learned, sometimes you think these senators and these congressmen, like I said again, are just so, they're not even, no. They, out of their mouths, hey, listen, I remember what you said about working so hard. I remember my cousin, or I was looking forward to seeing my uncle, and he wasn't there because he was at work as a DSP. These things, the senator, he told a story on the at Congress about, he was almost in tears how a DSP helped his, basically take care of his wife, her brother, was, passed. And so those type of stories, those would hit home. They
really resonate.
It resonates and hit homes hard like that. Because, when we all at the end of the day in our car and going home or doing what we're doing, though, that's what goes through your head. Like, wow, that was a really, interesting, deep story, or that was really something that touched me. That, I got to remember that. And I have the power to try to advocate for the person that told that story.
And it might be through writing a letter, or it might be setting up a time to talk with them.
Yeah.
So,
really
we
get these email blasts. I tell people, hey, don't skip the email blast now. Make sure you, you do it, So.
Yep.
And I'm sure that you're speaking up amidst your peers in your local context with PAR, your local organization that you've done work with. Suddenly you're up the ranks and you're having a conversation with a senator because you're an articulate storyteller.
Yes.
And you're a DSP who's committed to this work. I want to talk about voting. We're in the season where people are registering to vote. And curious about your experience as a DSP supporting anyone to register to vote, and then, of course, voting yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I've been privileged to be blessed of. I had a young man who we have an initiative. It's a big thing to make sure that everybody we support does get out and vote, and we're going to get out and vote. It is a whole day thing, and it's not just federal, local too, right? I've supported a young man. He was on I believe it's called the Committee of 70, where they check. We go to polling places just to make sure everything's accessible, making sure everything So how it's a really great pride to watch somebody get out. We have these talks like we try not to go too into politics because you got to take your own personal.
It's not about how your politics.
Yeah, politics. So it's and we have these conversations. How you hear them come up saying, they're talking amongst each other like that. Oh, I'm voting for such and such. I'm voting for such and such, and why? But they're voting, right? And
it's important to let them know, what empowering people to know what the issues are
Right.
and what the candidates' takes are on the issues, right?
Right.
That's your role as a DSP.
Just to
is to provide that information.
Yeah, exactly.
Without telling them who to vote for.
Yeah, and sometimes you get that question. Well, Nick, who you voting for? And I go, we don't know, right? Because I don't want to sway. I shouldn't sway. It's not. That's not. I don't think that I have the right to. I don't want to. And making sure that we have that educational piece. That why are you voting for such? I feel that they and I've gotten that and. Two sides of the coin, in the same house. But watch, have you watched different things, or have you watched things? Where did you get it from? And and I get told, well, even hey, this is what my family does, but why do you want to, right? And then you go out there and make a vote, and the pride on people's faces when they go, we get the little sticker. Says I voted, it's a big deal. Nick, I voted. My voice counted. I voted today. And we pride ourselves in that. And I think it's an awesome thing, though. To see somebody exercise their right to get out there and vote how they want to vote, for whom they want to vote for. And if you can be a part of that, in a neutral way, I think that's phenomenal.
I love that your team went out to the polling stations to make sure that things were accessible for people.
Yeah.
To be able to get there and speak up for themselves and vote.
Yeah. It's a great experience like that. We, like you said, this is the season. It's coming up, election like that. So there's always an initiative to make sure that, like you said again, everybody get out there to have a vote. When I get a chance to talk to other DSPs, I'll ask did you guys, you gonna get your guys out there to the polls? Yeah, usually speaking, yes, we are. So
it's an important part.
Yep.
Important part about being a citizen.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, being able to vote. So we do know that, voting is really advocating for yourself and your profession. And we also know that there are people who, are really disenfranchised with voting. What would you say to people who are like, I'm not going to do it this year?
Oh yeah, I come across people. You come and in the daily say, Nick, I might vote for it. It's all the same. It doesn't matter. And for me personally, I would say, listen, no matter what you vote, you have to vote, right? No matter how you feel, nothing gets changed. Nothing keep moving if you don't speak up or at least exercise your right to vote. We can agree to disagree. Does the vote count? Does the actual vote count? Or do at the end of the day, you got to get to the poll, and we make time. We make time to get to the poll. Like for me personally, hey, did you vote today? I'll think I will afterwards. I'm gonna follow up to make sure that you do. Because that one guy, that one lady, gentleman, or they might say, hey, my vote doesn't count, or just really disenfranchised with voting. They just have a disdain for the whole thing. For me, maybe I can sway on, hey, have you checked on YouTube? Have you watched the news? What's happening? These certain things coming up. Maybe this particular senator or president or whoever it's for, this will be a good thing for us in our field. At the end of the day, exercise your right. Please, education, research, your vote your vote and voice does count. And like I said again, we know we're obviously we're all grown, trying to get somebody to vote that doesn't vote, but every year, maybe not this year, but maybe 2 years from now, I can get them to,
Yeah, sometimes encouraging people and to think
facilitate.
about how does it affect their job.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's where probably as a coworker, you can have some influence, not on who they vote for, but for them to really look at the issues and the candidates and who's going to help, them as a person, as a professional benefit.
Yeah, certain things are coming up on the ballot that we definitely need to be, hey, listen, you don't, like whoever or whatever, but this is coming up, so let's exercise some right. And sometimes, Nick, I didn't know. I didn't know that, it's going to affect us like that. Yes, it's going to affect us tremendously like that, and hey, listen, I'm going to go ahead and vote. Yay. There we go.
How do different candidates support or not support the policies that support people with disabilities?
Right.
And if that's important to you, then, research it and figure out how is it going to best benefit
definitely.
those people you're supporting and also yourself as a direct support professional.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, I wholeheartedly believe that, though. Like I said again, at the end of the day, your voice matters. Your vote
matters.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, Nick. I just cannot thank you enough. You did such a great job sharing your story with us. Really proud to have you here and just want to thank you for the advocacy work that you're doing, not only in your company, but also, across the country, speaking to Congress about, what the needs are of DSPs and having our voice.
Well, listen, thank you. And like I said again, it's a whole team thing. I want to be here for all you guys here, giving me letting me have a little platform to talk. So thank you guys for just having me, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Miss Cramey, or Dr. Cramey,
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Listen,
Pretension's not needed.
Listen, doctor. The first thing I said to myself, I said, Chet was telling me about it. I said, I believe she earned that. She worked hard for that. So we're going to say it. Let me do it right. Dr. Craig.
This is such a great chance to hear from you, Nick. I am just thrilled about both this podcast and having you share about your experiences, the great platform that you got this season, as well as the previous podcast on self-determination is, I think, a super important topic to consider as well. And just really grateful for the chance to pick your brain about both of these things and to share your story.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you. More to come.
More to come. I like that. Thank you so much, Nick. And thank you, the listeners, for taking the time to take a closer look at the stories and the people who contribute to frontline initiatives such as Nick Smith. You can follow A Closer Look wherever you find your favorite podcast, so you don't have to miss any episodes. And to find all of the issues of Frontline Initiative, go to ici.umn.edu/series/7. You can subscribe and get the next issues as soon as they're published. So we don't want you to miss out on any of that information. If you like today's podcast and you're interested in hearing about other ways to support the health and wellness of direct support professionals, tune into another podcast called Wellness Matters for Direct Support for some great resources and ideas about how to take care of yourself as a DSP, because we know that your job is very demanding and that it really takes a lot to be a great DSP. So until next time, be well. Thanks for joining the conversation. If you would like to reproduce all or part of this podcast, please email frontline-dsp@umn.edu.
Our show is co-produced at the University of Minnesota's Institute on Community Integration by Frontline Initiative co-editor Chet Cheddar and ICI Technical Director Pete McCauley. Skylar Mihailov is our editor. Graphic designers are Connie Burkhart and Sarah Kurtner. For more information on the Institute on Community Integration and all of our products and projects, please visit ici.umn.edu.